All right, let's move on then. Maybe a little less silly, and we'll be dialed here because we're in Eastern 2 now, and this is important
Oh,
for you.
Eastern too. I'm dialed in now.
Well, it's
Call me
important for
dish
you.
soap because I'm dialed.
All right, I guess we're not going to stay focused. Um, so tier one teams are Inter Miami and Pumas. Tier two teams are Orlando and I'm going to get this right, Necaxa. We spent 3 years trying to figure this out. I'm almost certain I've got it this time.
We'll try again next year.
And I cannot wait. I can't wait for the. We've always got like three people like, nope, you got it wrong again. It's like, no, I'm so sorry. Necaxa at as a tier two team, and tier three, Atlanta United and Atlas. So let's start with the Inter Messi CF Flamingo SC, managed by Javier Mascherano. They were the best performing CONCACAF side at the Club World Cup, taking down Porto and nearly topping their group after almost beating Palmeiras before getting absolutely dog walked out of the tournament by PSG. They currently sit in fifth place in the East with 38 points from 11 wins, but they also have 3 games in hand thanks to the Club World Cup matches. We know the faces, we know the names, and now we need to see if the manager can let them fly and do their thing. They were winners of the first installment of this tournament in Messi's debut, and they will look to repeat that here in 2025. Talk to me about locations, talk to me about players.
So Miami, shocker. Don Garber scripting again. Is playing every game at home at Chase Stadium.
How
So
dare he?
seriously.
He should
So
move it to Hard
another
Rock Stadium like they always do for these big games.
I mean, you said it, not me. Yeah, so in terms of big signings, I mean, obviously we know who kind of the face of the team is. Doesn't count as a new signing anymore though, so cannot use him. I've gone for, I mean, there's a few names. So one that's a questionable one. Obviously Rodrigo De Paul just
if he
recently
if he gets
announced
here.
if he's going to be playing, obviously that would be a big signing for them in this tournament. I've got two more just in case that isn't the case. I've got Talasco Segovia,
Mhm.
and the other one for me is Tadeo Allende, who I think are going to be good impact players for them.
Yeah, you haven't listened to my guest spot with Battered Herons yet. We did a guest spot for the Red Bull game this evening at the time of recording, and they just slandered Allende. He's got one thing: he runs and he runs fast and he goes straight and then he kicks the ball. He doesn't do much.
That
So
sounds like Jurgen Damm.
man, now you're going deep cutting references. I love it. Yeah, well, I think that's a good thing to know, and talking about somebody we should keep an eye on then.
Mine's kind of a questionable one. Again, it's going to depend on if he plays, but I've gone for Rodrigo De Paul. I think he will, if he plays, he will uncertainly be the. No, wait, I said that wrong. If he
I was about to
plays, he
say,
will certainly be.
uncertainly, are we sure?
He will certainly be the player to watch, even if Messi's on the team, just because it will be his first appearances with Miami. How does he mesh with the team? Where is he going to play? How is he going to play? So lots of question marks on that. So it'll be very interesting. Messi started off playing in Leagues Cup as well, so it'll be very interesting to see if he can kind of, maybe get himself off to a hot start the same way Messi did. Even if he's not, obviously he's not a Messi level player.
Yeah, yeah. I hope he gets here, honestly. When we had that conversation, you can go check that out before some of our other episodes. But I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Lionel Messi. He's been okay this year. He's got a few goals, got a few assists, and he might be good for him. I'm not sure how he can do against Liga MX, but you're supposed
I
to
mean, they'll
laugh and be
pocket
like,
him.
you're
They'll
supposed to
pocket
laugh
him.
and be like, ha 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 ha, that's so funny. Um, no, my
There
actual
you go.
pick is my actual pick is Noah Allen, an amazing and integral part to this team. He has been filling in as a left center back in a back three. He's just 21 years old, and he's risen to the occasion and been one of Miami's best defenders as of late. One of the things we talked about when we did our preview was that they have just been, it's been a different team without him in there, which is crazy to think. And I really hate that he's changed his nationality to Greek, so we won't get to see him for the men's national team. But I think he's going to be really, really big this tournament for locking down some of these better attacks that they're going up against.
I did not know he switched to Greece.
Yeah, I figured it out just the other day, which is again that tells you how on the radar he was for the USMNT, but still kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Pumas are up next. And what a group they have here. They're led by the second youngest manager, third youngest manager in the tournament, 37-year-old former Vancouver Whitecap player Efren Juarez is at the helm. Taking over in March of last year, he led them to a 10th place finish in the Clausura and is off to a pretty poor start this year at the bottom of the table. Granted, that's after one game, but we always take stock from one single game, so they might as well get relegated here. With a -3 goal differential, no goals for, the team has just completed the signing of Pedro Vite and is also home to Coco Cataskija. But the name that stands out most to the casual viewer and somebody that actually you're probably going to talk about it, so I won't even do it, but I will make my joke after. So, talking about locations and players.
So locations for Pumas, they're going to be playing in Orlando for their first two games. And then, of course, anytime you play Messi, you got to play Messi in Miami. So they will be ending that off with a trip to Chase Stadium in Miami. Big signings. Think you were probably alluding to this. Adalberto Carrasquilla coming over from Houston. I've also gone for Alex Padilla. He's a goalkeeper coming over from Bilbao. I think based on who they've run out there at the start of this season, I think he's got a shot to start for them. So it'd be very interesting to see if he makes it in time to be their goalkeeper for this tournament.
Those were not who I was talking about. The name that stands out most to the casual viewer is, of course, Aaron Ramsey, center mid who made his trade with Arsenal in the English Super League. Cricket,
I don't remember
cricket,
seeing his name on there, so that's why I'm
cricket,
double checking.
cricket.
Hold on. Hold.
Insert the meme of guy going to VAR.
Yeah, seriously.
After review,
I
it
don't
is
see
a
him on here. Like I don't see him on transfer markets transfers.
it's I mean, he's right there. I see him. Unless he said new arrival. Yeah, he's
Aaron Ramsey.
Aaron Ramsey from Cardiff.
I don't I'm not seeing him.
After review, it has it has been determined that Connor has an inability to utilize transfer market properly after
I'm look
5 years of this
I'm gonna share
podcast.
I don't know. Maybe
Um,
they're just not counting him in yeah, I don't
Maybe
know.
not. Anyways, he will be there. I don't know if he's going to be an important player, but tell me about the player that you're going to keep an eye on.
So I've gone for Carrasquilla coming over from Houston.
Hmm.
He was an absolute mainstay for Houston. He was a huge part of that team. And I think his loss is being felt in Houston. And, what's Houston's loss is Pumas's gain. So it would be very interesting to see, he might be able to, considering it's been recent, he might be able to use maybe some of the things he knows about the teams that he's gone up against in the past to, give his side an advantage here. Just kind of like general ideas of like the way that certain players play, the way that certain teams play. So very interesting to see like what kind of impact he'll have for Pumas here.
I mean, based on your predictions, what Houston's loss is also Houston's gain because you were going to predict them in what, third?
Who? Houston?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh yeah. How quickly we forget. I'm
I'm
going
trying
I'm
to
going
forget.
I'm going with the other MLS new signing, and that's Pedro Vite. Easily Vancouver's most influential attacker this year with Ryan Gauld out being long term. I want to see how he integrates into this group with Coco Cataskija and whatever Aaron Ramsey does and how he's going to get utilized because the general consensus was not only was he most influential, he was also very underrated. Like how many times we talk about Pedro Vite being the guy? Not many. So it's going to be interesting to see how he can fit into this group, get on the ground running because that's what this tournament's going to be good for, especially for Liga MX sides. Is they're only a game into their season anyway, so this is almost like an extended preseason for them if they're trying to fit players in. So I'm interested to see how they utilize them. Nice. Well, let's chat then with the best team in the Southeast. Yeah, Orlando City. Such a strange and streaky team this team is because after a stretch of games where they started the year 12 unbeaten, they have just one win in their last five, and they sit in sixth place with 35 points from 9 wins and 8 draws. Longtime manager Oscar Pareja is going to have to dig deep to find some inspiration for them if they are going to move out of the first round. Tell me about locations. Tell me about players.
Wouldn't you know it? Orlando City benefiting from the Garber Bucks. If you're close enough to Miami, you get the secondary benefits. Orlando will be playing all of their games at home in Orlando. In terms of big signings, I've gone for Marco Pasalic here, who's had a very good impact for them so far this season. I've also gone for Eduardo Atuesta. Obviously, we know what he's capable of from his time in LAFC.
Yeah, yeah. I think those are some good ones there. But why don't we talk about players to watch? And maybe as we move forward, you don't even need to take a break. You don't even need to let me tell you to do things. I'll give you that freedom to tell me your player to watch when you're ready.
What a kind guy.
Listen, it's just what I do.
Seriously. I've gone for said Edward Atuesta. As I mentioned, we know what he's capable of from his time in LAFC. He's a great playmaking. I would assume he's still playing as a six, and I think he could really be a really important cog in this Orlando City machine in terms of kind of getting the play started, connecting the defense and the attack. Um, Obviously, there's a lot more like big time goal scoring, goal involved players like Pasalic and Ojeda, but I think Atuesta's impact may not necessarily hit the box score, but will he could have a big impact on the field depending on how he plays.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And one of the things I thought you were going to go Alex Freeman personally because that's the easy one because we've talked about him 100 times. You didn't have to think about it. You could have just repeated what you said before and it would have counted.
Low hanging
Um,
fruit. I'm not
yeah,
doing that.
which is your thing. You love a low-hanging piece of fruit, that's for sure. Um,
I'm short. What do you expect?
Yes, you are. Um, I went with Pasalic. I think 11 goals on the season. He's been an absolute unit. He's one of the best newcomers of the year, and he and Ojeda have been carrying this team. And I want to see what he can do going up against competition from other leagues that aren't just Atlanta twice and Atlanta again. I just it's easy to beat up on those sorts of teams. So interested to see how he does against some other teams. So
Guy's a comedian.
oh, just wait. Oh, just wait.
It's more like you're a clown.
Oh, you're so funny.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna get this pronunciation right as we go to the next team. It's Necaxa. Necaxa. They are led by another relatively young manager in 39-year-old Fernando Gago, also Argentine, in case you're seeing a pattern here. They sit mid-table in the Apertura with one win from two games and finished a very nice Clausura season in fifth spot with 10 wins from 17 games. It will be interesting to see how they handle MLS competition, but they have a strong core and they will look to be expansive and clinical to build off of their 36 goals from the Clausura season. They are surprisingly the first club to this point that doesn't have an MLS link, at least that I could find.
Maybe you're not searching hard enough.
Why don't you then tell me about locations and transfers? So,
Yes, so Necaxa will be playing in the greatest stadium in all of North America, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, to start things off. Then they will be going over to Chase Stadium for the Messi charity match. And then rounding things off, finishing in Orlando. So a nice little southern vacation for them, southern trip, bouncing around to a bunch of cities down there. In terms of big signings, I've gone for this is going to be fun to pronounce. Diber Cambindo from Cruz Azul, Agustin Palavecino from River Plate, and I don't know how much the potential like summer signings are going to play or if they are going to play at all. I'm going to see if I could try to include one going forward for each of the teams. So I've gone for Tomas. I mean, I would assume Thomas Jacob. I mean, it's spelled Jacob, but he's Argentinian, so I doubt it's Jacob from Newell's Old Boys.
that was
And
nice.
what?
No, your
Yeah.
pronunciations were great. It's one of my favorite parts about doing this sort of content is just all of that. Everything. Just chef's kiss.
Well, I'm glad you're getting a kick out of this.
I'm sure everybody else is too, don't you worry. Yeah, my player to watch, they scored a ton last season, right? So I'm going to watch the goal scorers. Diber Cambindo, that you mentioned, he dropped 11 of those goals in 930 minutes. That's a rate of one per 90 minutes, actually better than that. That is mental. That is insane. And MLS defenses, including a team we're about to talk about next, are going to have an absolute nightmare with him all tournament long. If you thought Brad's performance against Messi in the playoffs was going to be big, he's going to have to like triple that to do better against his Necaxa team. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, my player to watch, as you've mentioned, they're a high scoring team, but the reason they're not at the top of the table, they concede goals as well. They concede plenty of goals. So I've gone for their goalkeeper. I've gone for Ezekiel Unsain. Unsain. I don't know. I'm just gonna start throwing around multiple pronunciations, and one of them will be right.
Oh,
So I've gone for the goalkeeper here, who was a monster over in Argentina, has phenomenal stats down there, and just hasn't really found his form with Necaxa yet. So I'm interested to see, similar situation to some of the other players we talked about before. Is this an opportunity for them to kind of find their footing and start to settle in?
yeah, yeah. It'd be good. Like I said, I remember when we did this for the first time. In the first, they were a bottom team. It was one of those like, yeah, they'll be there. We don't have to worry about them. They're going to be the bottom. They're three-team group. We move on. But it's interesting to see how they've kind of turned themselves around. They're top five team. They went to the playoffs, and I think they're gonna cause problems here. So it'll be exciting. Why are they gonna cause problems? Because somebody messed up and put another MLS Next Pro team in here that we don't need to cover. But here we are anyway. Atlanta United has made their way into the League's Cup. Ronnie Dyla, he should be gone, but he isn't. And he takes the most expensive attack in MLS and turned them into 2019 Red Bull. Good job. I'm pretty sure Tom Barlow had more goals in 2019 than Almiron has this year. Don't fact check it. Just believe it. Go with the vibes. Anyways, they sit 13th out of 15 in the East, 12 points out of the playoffs, and they are in need of a miracle to make the playoffs. They have just 4 wins on the year and only 25 goals scored. That's like $1 million a goal or something like that for one player. It is really quite shocking for the money they spent on this team. But why don't you talk to me a little bit about them and how they're doing?
How they're doing? You're supposed to talk about how they're doing.
Oh, I did, but I just figured you have some retort or some
I
pushback
don't.
because
I wish I did, but I really don't. I kind
yeah.
of just have to deal with it.
All right, well then tell me location, tell me transfers, tell me players to watch.
Well, considering Don Garber hates us and hates Atlanta, we will not be playing all of our games in Atlanta. We will be playing our first in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, then going over to that sewer down in Orlando, before wrapping things up back in Atlanta again. In terms of big signings, Emmanuel Latelath, obviously, lots of money spent on him, and bringing back former superstar, probably still a star for the team, even if he hasn't necessarily been putting up star numbers. Miguel Almiron is back with Atlanta. My player to watch, I've gone for that similar theme again. I've gone for Latte Loth. Obviously, the price tag is very big on him and has not quite lived up to that price tag yet. Granted, it is still early days. Some of that I think is probably a lack of service, but it will be interesting to see if maybe this is an opportunity for him to kind of get himself going, hit that reset button, and find some form and maybe potentially salvage something from this season.
Yep, and I'm on the same boat with why I've picked my player. It's for the same reason. Alexei Miranchuk, it's time for you to figure this stuff out, man. You have been what was it? Did you pay eight figures for him? Did you get him for 10 mil plus? I think so, right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was, I believe, 10 million or
Yeah,
11, something like that.
and you took him from a Europa League winning side in Atalanta, not Atlanta, Atalanta. He's shown up and he's gotten you just this year alone 6 goal contributions in 22 games. That's abysmal for the price. So hopefully for Atlanta, he can take this opportunity, figure it out, get some form, and help out during the last push to this playoff if they want any chance of making it because they're not going to do it with $10 million walking around the pitch. It's been really, really disappointing for him, and I think he needs to step up. All right, well then it's Atlas time. Not the map, not the book of maps, the team. Led by a familiar face to a certain team in this group. It's Gonzalo Pineda back at the helm of Atlas, taking on his former club in Atlanta United. It should make for a very fun matchup. The last Clausura, they were in 14th out of which is 4 wins and 7 draws, scoring only 25 times. This season, they won their first game 3-2 versus Puebla, so they are flying, right? Gonzalo's at the wheel. This is what it's about. Good hot start. We love to see it. They're home to former MLS names such as Mauro Manotas and Matias Kokaro. Talk to me about how excited you are to see Gonzalo Pineda again. Talk to me about their locations, their transfers, and players to watch.
So I'm just gonna do the things that I was signed up to do. I don't want. I have no other comments to say. Nothing else. None at all. But yeah, so Atlas is going to be playing in Miami to start things off, then heading over to Orlando, and finally finishing their way up in Atlanta. In terms of big signings, I have gone for, here we go again, fun pronunciations. This one might be the worst of them all. Uros Djordjevic, probably the closest I can get to that, coming in from Sporting Gijon. I don't know why I made that sound French. There's another player also coming over from the same club in Robert Pierre. Again, sounds very French. Spanish center back coming in during the summer, so it'll be interesting to see if he has any impact there. In terms of players to watch, I've gone for Djurdjevic himself. I think he's had a good impact on this team from a goal scoring perspective. Looks to be their main goal scoring option, as much as like a couple of other players have contributed. He had most goals last year in 12, and I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be kind of that difference maker for them again this tournament in terms of who they're going to look for to score goals. A few people have scored thus far, as you mentioned, they scored three in their first game. Nobody scoring more than one, so I think that's probably a promising sign for them if they can get Djordjevic going. Then I think having that alongside other players who are scoring can be their route to potentially getting out of their group.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair. I'm kind of going in that same boat. I'm going with Diego Gonzalez, a wide player they brought in on loan from Lazio. He's already provided 2 assists in that first game, so I'm interested to see if that quality holds up and how MLS defenses deal with him, right? Because I'm always thinking MLS focused, right? And defense is not really our strong suit, so I'd be really interested to see if he's got any bit about him, how they're going to handle him. All right, well, it's predictions time. Give me six to move your players around. I don't care about points or anything. Just give me 6-1, and we'll go from there.
So six, I've got Atlas. Five, I've got Necaxa. Four, I've got Atlanta. Three, I've got Pumas. Two, I've got Orlando, and one, I've got Miami.
Interesting. At 6, I've got Atlanta United. Shocker.
Hater.
At 5, I've got Atlas. At 4, I've got Pumas. At 3, I've got Necaxa. At 2, I've got Orlando City. At 1, I've got Miami.